A day forever ingrained in the minds of Americans. Good evening. This is CTV News for this September 11th, 2013. I'm Rochelle Metzger.
And I'm Patricia Villone. Glad to have you with us tonight. Well, 12 years ago, terror ripped through our nation. On September 11, 2001, 4 planes were hijacked and used to carry out terrorist attacks along the East Coast. Hundreds of law enforcement officers were among the thousands of innocent civilians who died that day. Today, authorities from various agencies assembled to honor those who lost their lives trying to save others. CTV's Makia Turner has the story.
Emotions are still running deep today for many officials who convened at the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial to honor the lives of 72 peace officers who were killed as a result of those 9/11 terrorist attacks.
My almost 35 years of law enforcement service, unfortunately, I've got too many names of friends on this wall.
This wall is one of 2 that bears the names of fallen heroes. Chief Teresa Chambers of the United States Park Police says there's one name here that stands out: Fred Marone.
When you see someone who you sat next to in a classroom or who worked next to you in a patrol car, it brings new meaning.
Marone was superintendent of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey Police Force on 9/11. Chambers recalls how she felt that day.
I worried for him, and as the day went on, it became more and more clear that he was likely one of the victims, and he was.
Dignitaries and supporters joined officials with the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund in the district today to commemorate 72 officers who were killed in the terrorist attacks.
The beauty of this memorial is that it's really a somber place where you can come and reflect.
Unlike many other memorials throughout the district, this one is different. It's ever-changing as the names of fallen heroes are added on an annual basis.
We're really the only living memorial in the district because sadly we do add names each and every year.
Chambers says she hopes visitors who stop by the memorial will take time to reflect on how these heroes lived, not how they died. The best memory you have of Fred?
is him being silly one night after class, of sitting around and telling stories about his life as a police officer.
The National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial is open 24 hours a day and it's free of charge. Officials also say that a National Law Enforcement Museum is in the works. The groundbreaking will take place by the end of this year and it should be open for business in 2015. From the district, I'm Makia Turner, CTV News.
And the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund is a private nonprofit that maintains the memorial. The site contains more than 19,000 names of officers who have died in the line of duty throughout U.S. history. President Barack Obama and the First Lady joined Vice President Joe Biden this morning to commemorate the September 11th attacks. At 8:46, a moment of silence rang from the White House lawn to remember the victims. Ceremonies also took place at the 3 crash sites. The service at Ground Zero in New York began with music and the reading of the names of nearly 3,000 people who died when hijacked jets crashed into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
Hundreds of bikers gathered at the Harley-Davidson dealership in Fort Washington this morning before heading to Washington, D.C. for the 2 Million Bikers Ride. CTV's Sonia Srivastava has that story.
Certainly a roaring expression of patriotism here as you see all these bikes here on Route 210 Indian Head Highway in Fort Washington. Now all of these bikers are headed to Washington, D.C. to be a part of the 2 Million Bikers March in the nation's capital.
They came from across the nation.
I'm from Sevierville, Tennessee, home of Dolly Parton.
Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Naples, Florida.
Orange Park, Florida. Yes, ma'am.
Jackson, Georgia.
HEIDI Doane and her husband made the 11-hour ride from Florida.
I have a son-in-law that's in Afghanistan right now. My husband is with Rolling Thunder in the Patriot Guard. Our daughter was served in the military, was injured in Iraq. So we just thought that this was the best way to memorialize all of them.
Motorcyclists started gathering outside this Harley-Davidson dealership in Fort Washington early this morning before making the trek into the District of Columbia. The group, called 2 Million Bikers to D.C., requested police escorts and nonstop permits, but were both denied. Despite the lack of permits, organizers say they will ride on the outer loop of the Beltway from Prince George's to Montgomery County and then into Virginia, but only some of the bikers will go go into the district. George Gagin and Bill Ferrero were both in New York City on 9/11 and literally took matters into their own hands.
The second plane flew over our job. It flew so low that we thought it was going to hit the bridge. When that thing hit, we knew we were in trouble. Everybody got into the truck. About an hour and a half, 2 hours after the second tower went down, we took our welding machines, cutting torches, whatever we had, over the bridge. All the people were running off from the bridge to the Brooklyn side, and we were going into the Manhattan side.
The police said we couldn't go in because it was too dangerous, so we said, well, you need more than that to stop us. And we decided to go and we started cutting the steel away.
We saw many forms of patriotism, whether it be on fingernails, T-shirts, flags. This day is emotional for many.
We've got these people that died, gave their life, the EMTs, the firefighters. They run toward the fire. They don't run away from the fire.
It was overwhelming to have that happen on our home soil, and I came up to support the memory I will never forget.
Now, as these bikers leave the area, Indian Head Highway 210 is blocked in both directions on Livingston Road, so it certainly is going to be tough for the commuters who are just trying to get by their day here. But the police tell me that as soon as they leave the area, that they will open up both sides of Indian Head Highway. I'm Sonia Shabazvan for Washington. Back to you.
It's an especially difficult day for family and friends of 9/11 victims. Some attended memorial ceremonies, while others took part in service projects to remember their loved ones.
And Denise Douglas is joining us now with the story of a local woman who lost her cousin in the Pentagon attack and how she's coping today.
Yeah, you know what? It truly is a tough day for those directly affected by the attacks as well as the country as a whole. But Diane Cunningham says she gets through it by hanging on to the good memories. She lost her cousin, Carrie Blackburn, in the terrorist attacks on the Pentagon. Blackburn was a budget analyst for the Army. Cunningham says she remembers that fateful day as she and other family members tried to get in touch with Blackburn on the phone after the building was hit by Flight 77.
I try to think about the good things, but I do remember, that day. I remember what it was like with everybody trying to locate her and not be, you get the voicemail on the phone, but nobody's answering. And it's kind of, in your gut because you know the location, but you don't want to accept that. And so you just kind of keep calling because it's like if you can hold on to her voice, you can kind of hold on to her, it seemed like anyway, but the inevitable was what it was, and she never did answer.
Cunningham says she remembers her cousin as a wonderful mother and wife, but she was so much to many people in her life.
She's a really loving person, an extrovert, very friendly, loved to do hair. Everybody loved Carrie, and she was very, very fashionable. And she made most of her own clothes. She sewed for other people as well, and she was a very great seamstress. Even made some, wedding gowns, made wedding gowns for people. She was a great cook. I mean, Carrie was just a jack of all trades. She was really, really very good at everything that she did.
Good memories there. A ceremony was held at the Pentagon today to honor the 125 people who were killed in the building 12 years ago. 59 passengers on the hijacked plane also lost their lives, but as you can see and we can tell, still a lot of healing going on.
Definitely. All right. Thank you, Denise. Well, a memorial at the Bladensburg Waterfront Park is another place where people could go today to remember the 9/11 tragedy, and it has a brick sidewalk lined with trees representing each Prince George's County resident who died in the attacks. You can see it's still a serene place for reflection. We spoke with a number of people in the area about their thoughts on this somber day.
I hope it never happens again. That's my main thought. And Obama has kept us pretty safe, it seems, since then. Although everybody wants to think the worst of him about everything. But I'm an Obama person, so. But I'm just hoping it never happen again.
I'm not sure that we're any safer today. I mean, you got a lot of, people out here that if they're determined to do something, they're going to do it. So I personally just believe, we just got to stay prayed up and do, just go forward, live life. Can't walk around scared. But, like I said, you got a lot of folks out here that aren't quite stable. So, and that's just not foreigners. That's local people too. So.
24 residents from the county died in the terrorist attacks. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Rochelle Metzger.
And I'm Patricia Villone.